Bro, the older that I get, the less things that I will put up with. I catch myself more and more every day acting like this. You feel me? It's just I don't know. Is it really true? I'm starting to be that old guy that's standing on the porch. You know what I'm saying, screaming at the sky and stuff. Am I starting to be that? Cause it's like the older I get, bro, I just can't put up with certain things no more, bro. Like when I was younger, I was able to put up with a lot of things. But the older that I get, dog, it's just I just look at it as you know what, chop it up to the game. I'm done. Wash my hands. I don't want nothing else to do with it. You feel me? So boom, right? I was chopping up with one of my homies and stuff like that or whatever, right? You know how it be, man. You got that one partner or whatever, you know what I'm saying? You pull up on him or he pull up on you or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Y'all might go somewhere, whatever the case may be, and just chop it up, man. The old heads used to call it, you know what I'm saying, going outside and getting some fresh air with each other. You know what I'm saying? I got one of those partners, right? Then I sit there and we just run ideas with each other, brainstorm, boom out the bing. You know what I'm saying? He asked me a question. Hey, bro, in this situation, was I tripping? I asked him a question. One of those type of individuals, right? And recently, we had a conversation or whatever where we were sitting there talking about, you know what I'm saying, dealing with women and just the lack of, I don't want to use intelligence, but just the lack of conversational skills. Personality, just no substance, no nothing to talk about. You feel what I'm saying? Like just very dry, plain ABC 1, 2, 3 type of responses, no type of substance. Even if you try to, dig deep or dive in or something like that, to have a somewhat intelligent conversation, whatever it may be, politics, religiosity, what have you, right? Don't got no type of substance or saying anything that's very, captivating. I think that's the word that can add to the conversation that is at hand. And I told my homie, right, that, over the years and stuff like that, I catch myself, very frequently just, somewhat just stop talking to women or stop talking to that girl or whatever the case may be because the conversation be very dry, be very boring, be very plain, just be, ugh. You feel what I'm saying? So, you know, various of, things and women or whatever have put my head into this mind space or whatever over the years and stuff like that. Throughout all the trials and tribulations of all the women, all different types of walk of life or whatever that I have dealt with, have made me come to this conclusion. Now, don't get me wrong. There has been multiple women that has came into my life that had some type of substance, that had a personality, that had, a very beautiful mind that can, go off and talk about any and everything, and they can give their 2 cents, and their 2 cents will have you sitting there and really like, damn, this girl right here, she be using her noggin. I like that. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of other women just don't have no substance at all, right? So we was having this conversation or whatever, right? And my homie had told me that he just not too long ago bumped into this one girl or whatever. And they started talking or whatever the case may be. And when they started talking or whatever, instantly he told me that, I'll say something to her and stuff like that or whatever. And, she'll take, a while to respond back, 10, 15 minutes, what have you, and stuff like that. And then when she did respond back, it would be just so plain, so generic, so just, down there to the point where it seems like she's an emoji bitch. You know what I'm saying? I gotta say. And I know some of y'all can be like, Fly, what is the emoji bitch? A emoji bitch is a female that, out of her all day texting folks, 90% of her texts is just emojis. She's not writing nothing. She's not spelling nothing. No, she's not doing none of that. She didn't use no period, no punctuation, no comma. She didn't do none of that. It's just emoji after emoji after emoji after emoji. And I told him straight up, right? Any female that sits there in an emoji all day, I'm sorry, but I'm finna lose interest. I don't care how good you look. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I'm going to lose interest. If every response that you're saying is going to be an emoji, I can't. I can't function with that. What are we talking about? Like, what are we talking about? I say, hey, how you doing? You send me an emoji. Why you couldn't write that? Why you couldn't write that? How's work going? You send me an emoji. Hey, you want to go ride around or maybe get a bite to eat or something? You send me an emoji. What you want me to do with that? So when I had told him that or whatever, right? You know what I'm saying? Of course, he's going to sit there and try to, justify it or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, you know what I'm saying? At first he was cool and stuff like that or whatever, but then she started to slow down or whatever. And I just pretty much told him, like, bro, you know, 9 times out of 10, she's texting you, texting other folks too as well. Let's just go ahead and put that out there. You already know how that goes and stuff like that or whatever. Not only that, if that's all she's saying in the text messages, then you got to be the individual, right? And I think this is where a lot of men go wrong at, is when to say no or when to stop. You feel what I'm saying? And the older that I have gotten, I have gotten more comfortable with saying no or just stopping, you know, conversating with the female altogether. Like back in the day, I used to be all for the whole little, running the games and stuff like that, chasing after them and stuff like that. Oh, she playing hard to get, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I sent her a paragraph, I sent her a whole Bible scripture, and she took 30 minutes to respond. And then when she responded, she said 2 words in an emoji. Yeah, yeah, at the age of 34, yeah, I'm just gonna stop talking to you. It's simple as that. I'm just gonna stop talking to you. I'm not gonna keep on talking. Like, it's just done with. I'm gonna tell you something real quick, right? And y'all might think that I'm crazy. And I think sometimes that I am crazy, right? If you take all day to respond to me after I said something, I don't care how many people you're talking to. You could be talking to 1,000,000 people. I don't care. Ain't nobody that busy. People only busy for things that they don't want to do. But when it's for something that they want to do, they're not that busy. They can make time. If you take all day to respond to my message, best believe I'm done talking. I'm done talking. I'm petty like that. You got to realize I'm a Gemini, all right? And I'm a prideful ass person. You take 20 minutes to respond to me, it's going to be an hour for me to respond back to you. You take 5 hours, because I got some homeboys, they waited around 3 to 4 or 5 hours for a response back. You do that to me, you might have to wait a week. Or I might be so petty in the sense that, oh, you want to take 5 hours to respond to me, right? And I know you're not doing nothing because you just told me that you're not at work. You didn't say that an emergency had happened. I don't think nobody in your family had died or anything like that. You ain't got no kids, right? What took you so long to respond back? If you take 5 hours to reply back to my message, I might be so petty in the sense that, oh, you want to wait that long? Bet. Next time that you hear from me, you're going to have to double text me. Fly, what is double text? Well, she took 5 hours to reply back to it. I didn't say nothing. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days went past, and now she texts me, damn, stranger, you lost my number or something? Now I'm going to say something. Because I don't got time for these weirdo ass games. Especially from an individual, right? That when we do talk, you ain't got no substance. When we do talk, you ain't talking about nothing. And then you want me to sit here and try to hold and engage this conversation. And you're acting dry. Eventually, I'm going to start acting dry because the vibes is just all the way thrown off. And then you're going to sit there and run to your friends or whoever and stuff like that and lie and say that, oh, Fly, he I got his number. We talked a little bit or whatever, but, he kind of boring. He kind of dry. Bitch, you boring! Talking about I'm boring. Y'all lucky I ain't that petty yet. I'm starting to get to that point, but y'all lucky I ain't that petty yet to start putting names on some of these faces. For real. You know what I'm saying? Because these videos right here, I'll be sharing them to my Facebook or whatever, because a lot of these people that I'm talking about be on my Facebook and stuff like that, so I want them to see it. I ain't saying your names yet, but eventually, one of these days, I'm going to start saying some names. You feel me? But I digress, though. But, you know, just sitting there, just don't got no type of substance. I remember there's one female, bro, you know what I'm saying? She was a cool little chick or whatever, right? Cool as hell or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? I'll say this, right? Conversational wise, she had nothing to talk about. Like, every time she opened her mouth, it was just a whole bunch of just rhetoric talk. Whole bunch of NPC talk. Have you ever been in a comment section of a YouTube video or who have you and stuff like that, and you just read the comments and it's just random chatter that has nothing to do with, you know, the video or the photo or what have you, right? That has nothing to do with none of that stuff. And then you just start to tell yourself, like, are these real people? Are these NPCs? Are these AI? What is this? Are these bots? What is this, right? That's how she talk, right? But hanging out wise, you know what I'm saying? Because, you know, I'm a person that like to go out and stuff like that, like to go to clubs and stuff like that or whatever, have a good time, right? She was cool. Like, we can go to a club and stuff like that. She'll, you know what I'm saying, not be dry or whatever. She'll do her thing and stuff like that. But just substance-wise, verbally, had no type of substance. Just, you couldn't learn nothing from this girl. You feel me? You will learn more from a rock than talking to this woman. I'll give you one thing real quick, right? So, boom, we was having this one little conversation, right? And I really sit there and I dissect everybody, right? Like, I got everybody, even my homies, women, whatever, right? I got them in their own little, you know, imaginary little category, right? I know I can talk to this person about that. I know I can blah, blah, blah with this person. I know I can blah, blah, blah with this person. I got everybody in their own little imaginary category. I think we all do that, right? This girl right here, I knew already, right, that I couldn't have no intelligent conversation with her. Like, it just wasn't going to work. If I'm not talking about some stupid ass whatever on TikTok or some stupid ass whatever on Netflix or whatever, there was no conversation with this girl, right? But I tried to give her a chance one day. I think I was drinking that day. And I shouldn't did it because it really pissed me off. But I tried to give her a chance one day, right? So, boom. She's a Latina, right? So that means that she's Hispanic, right? We having a conversation or whatever the case may be. And we're talking. And I don't know how the conversation even got to this point, but we started to talk about, you know, different societies, different religiosity, different cultures and stuff like that, and how they move and operate and stuff like that or whatever, right? So the first thing that we was talking about and stuff like that was, you know, she was telling me little things or whatever about, you know, how they do certain things in, you know, Mexico or what have you and stuff like that. I think she was, if I'm not mistaken, I think she was from Honduras, if I'm not mistaken. 'Cause I think she used to always have a little, I might be wrong. I'm not good with all my flags and stuff, but I think she used to have one of those like blue and white flags hanging across her windshield, her rear view mirror or whatever. I think she used to have one of those, and I think that's Honduras or whatever. But she used to tell me certain things or whatever the case may be, right? And she had said something about, you know, Spanish, you know, the language Spanish and stuff like that, you know, speaking it and blah, 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 and all this old stuff. And I forgot, I wish I could sit there and really think about what the nature of the conversation was or whatever. But basically, she didn't know that Spanish is a white man's language. Can I hit a button real quick? Just let me hit a button real quick. She didn't know that. She didn't know that. She said, right? I sat there and told her, right, like, you know, Spanish, you know, Spanish doesn't come from, you know, Central and South America, right? You know, Spanish is the white man's language. You know, Spanish comes from Spain. You know that, right? Just like, in Brazil, they speak, Portuguese. That comes from Portugal, over there. How we speak English, over there. You know how a lot of African countries, they speak French over there. You know, just like the rest of the world, they got colonized by Europe. Central and South America got colonized too as well. And that's why y'all speak Spanish. And when she sat there, it was like, uh-uh. How is the black man telling you about your own culture? How is the black man telling you about your own culture? Like, it threw me for a loop, right? And like, I would like to think and hope that, a lot of y'all do know that or whatever. But when she said, hell no, you lying. And she looked it up. And I sat there and tell myself, like, she got to be playing with me. She got to be joking. I know for a fact she ain't serious. I know for a fact, I know for a fact, this girl, I can't even call her a woman no more, but this girl is not sitting here with a straight face and didn't know this information right here. And she sat there and typed it in, and it was like, wow. 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 Same person, right? Boom, right? And after this right here, I just stopped talking to her, right? I just had to stop talking to her, right? But another situation, right? We was talking about, different different cultures, different religiosity and stuff like that, blah, blah, blah. I think we was talking about, I think we was talking about people in the Middle East or something like over there or whatever, back in the day, blah, 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 whatever, right? And the nature of the conversation was basically put on with, back in the day, how, men used to marry, girls or whatever that was like 12, 13, 14 years old or whatever. And, that's what they used to do back in the day and stuff like that. And as we're talking about that and stuff like that, I was telling her that, in certain societies and certain religiosities and certain cultures, they still do that to this day. And she sat there with a straight face, right? And was like, well, that's just nasty. That's stupid. Those people should go to jail. Those people should blah, 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 just going crazy, right? And I'm sitting there like, I understand what you're saying. And don't get me wrong when I say this. I agree with you. Like, that shouldn't be going on. But who are we to sit there and judge this group of people that's doing that? They used to do it back in the day. Certain societies and cultures and religiosity still do it to this day. Who are we as the Western world to look down upon these people right here? If that's how they do their thing, that's how they do their thing. And she looked at me with the most straightest face, right? And was like, so what you're saying is you agree with that and you will do that? How did you get that for what I just told you? How did your mind go to that right there? Like, just tell me. How did your mind take what I just said, went in, all the little, wires and whatever that you got hooked up in your brain, and that's what you process? How? Like, it's just common sense. They live a different lifestyle. They don't live in the Western society. A lot of people look at our laws or our traditional means or values or whatever. They look at it, what we do over here as being wrong. So who are we to sit there and judge them for what they do? So obviously, as you see me so passionate right now, right? The conversation slowly but surely got into I wouldn't say an argument, but I definitely had to, raise my voice a little bit and be a little stern real quick. Because I'm trying to help this person to understand something real quick. Like, I don't agree with that. If I agree with that, I'll be doing that. Obviously, I don't do stuff like that. But I get it though. And I'm not gonna fault those people that lives in this tribe in the middle of Africa, and they've been doing that for thousands of years, or this tribe that lives in the middle of whatever rainforest or whatever, and they've been doing this for millions of years or whatever. I'm not gonna judge those people for doing what they do. But now you're sitting here and judging me because I'm more open to what the world is and not just what this Western philosophy is. Now I look like the bad person because the only thing that you know about is Western laws. Like, you didn't even know that your native language that you're speaking was a white man's language. You really thought, and like, I started to get so frustrated, and I don't know how to spell that word, but I know how to use it though. I started to get so frustrated that I told myself as I'm talking, right? After this conversation right here, I got to cut you off. I got to cut you off. Like, you're not intelligent. You're a fun time, don't get me wrong. And, we can still kick it or whatever. If you want to go out to a club or whatever, we can still do that. But, like, trying to have a conversation with you or whatever, it's not that. And then when you text and stuff like that, you're not talking about nothing. You're borderline emoji bitch. You know what I'm saying? Like, you'll say something and use you're borderline emoji bitch. Like, I can't sit here at the age that I am now. And this happened a few years ago. I think this happened when I was, let me see, if I'm 34 now, this was like what, 2021? So 2021, I was what, 29? This happened when I was 29, right? And like, I was just flabbergasted that this individual really sat here with a straight face and really thought that they was popping it. This individual really thought that they was popping it. And I'm just sitting there like, shorty, you dumb as hell. How the fuck? How did you graduate high school? Like, you dumb as hell. Like, if you got that type of mindset, you low key need you need a caregiver. If you got that type of mindset, you shouldn't be roaming this earth without being chaperoned. You need a caregiver if you're thinking like that. Like, you're stupid. I'm sorry, but I gotta say it. I gotta say it. I gotta say it. Like, you're dumb. Just dumb. I'm far from smart. I barely graduated. I graduated by the hairs of my chinny chin chin by help me God. But you graduated? And you think like that? Bro. And when I told my homie, right, me and my homie, we in the car and stuff like that, like cracking up and laughing, stuff like that or whatever, right? And I'm just like, bro, like, she's one of many examples, bro, of just, you get with a woman or whatever. And like I said, right, a lot of times when I get with women or whatever, my first thought process, right, is not to necessarily to date or to get into a long-term committed relationship or whatever. I just like to be around women. I just like the vibes. You feel what I'm saying? Like, whatever may happen or wherever it might go and stuff like that, the future is bright. You know what I'm saying? I don't put nothing, out there or whatever that, it might not happen, right? But my first intent is just to vibe out, right? That's all I want to do or whatever. And I think that's why it'd be easier for me, right, to sit there and to really like cut an individual off and stuff like that or whatever. Because it's like, at the age that we are right now, right? And let me remind you that girl that I'm talking about, when she said all that, this is a woman that had a kid at 15 years old. So you want to talk about, what, I ain't going to even do her like that. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, the age that I'm at now and the women that I talk to that's around my age, some older, some might be a little bit younger, but we all in that 30 perimeter, right? And this is the only substance that you got. Like, maybe that shit works for, Tyrone or, Dante or whoever, right? Maybe that shit works for them. Two dumbasses having a dumbass conversation. It just sounds smart together, right? Maybe that works for them, right? But when you come across me, though, and we vibe off or whatever, and we get to talking and stuff like that or whatever the case may be. And like I said, when I get to talking or whatever, my mind goes, because I'm always thinking, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a very, free thinker. I'm always thinking. I'm always in my head and stuff like that. That's why I be quiet a lot of times. Anybody that knows me personally, when I'm out and about and stuff like that, I don't talk. Like, I'm just constantly in my head thinking about things. Like, thinking about what I did today, thinking about what I could have did better, thinking about how I can be more successful tomorrow, thinking about, this, whatever, right? I'm just constantly thinking, right? So, when you come across a person like me, right, that, I'm already on the defense of opening up, right? Like, I'm quiet all the time, right? Like, I keep to myself and stuff like that, right? And then when an individual comes into my life or whatever, and I'll be like, you know what, I'm gonna give this individual a chance. You know what I'm saying? I'll open up a little bit or whatever, right? And that's the type of substance that I get from you. I instantly think in my head, like, I knew I shouldn't say nothing. I should have had just shut the F up and just act like everybody else. You know what I'm saying? Like, I try, and I pride myself to be so different from everybody else because I never want nobody to sit there and be like, oh, he's just like everybody else. But sometimes in certain situations, I ain't gonna lie to you. I be thinking to myself, I think it's easier if I just act like everybody else in certain situations because goddamn, I can't believe just the substance is just boring. Just boring. You're just not talking about nothing. You feel what I'm saying? It's crazy, dog. It's definitely crazy, man. Like, and it be like I said, it be some women out there that really have a beautiful, mind that they can really, express themselves to the fullest and stuff like that, and have beautiful conversations with. There's a lot of women that's like that, right? But there's also on the other spectrum, a lot of women that face-wise, body-wise, yeah, bad as hell. But conversation-wise, though, intellect-wise, oh, boy. Oh, boy. Here go a bottle. You want a drink? I don't smoke, but you want to smoke, whatever. Do what you need to do. I'm going to be over here like, holy shit, dog. But definitely get down there in the comment section, man. Let me know how y'all feel about that. You already know, man. It's your boy Fly Guy, man. Make sure you rate, subscribe, comment, all that good old stuff, man. Peace, love, blessings, and positivity to everybody. You already know we rocking. And I'm going to holler at y'all Biggie the Fools in the next one, man. One love, man. I'm gone, man.